The Deposition was painted by Caravaggio between 1602 and 1604. The work was commissioned by Girolamo Vittrice for his family chapel in Santa Maria in Vallicella, Rome. It is now housed in the Vatican Pinacoteca. During those same years, the future Cardinal Mazarin was born. Queen Elizabeth I of England died, and the Accademia dei Lincei was founded. In the scene, two men are shown lowering a body, while three women express their desolation. There are no divine signs, no halos or angels to reveal that this is a sacred scene. Yet, the lifeless man, identifiable by his corpse-like pallor, bears the marks of crucifixion, the stigmata on his hands and feet left by the nails, and the open wound in his side caused by a lance. These elements, along with his bearded features and the presence of a woman, presumably his mother, wearing a blue mantle in accordance with iconographic tradition, tell us that this is the scene of Christ's deposition from the cross. Beside him are his friend John, the Pharisee Nicodemus, his mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, and his aunt Mary of Clopas, as narrated in the Gospels.
Standing by the cross of Jesus were his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. John 19:25.
This is not the scene in which Christ is laid in the tomb, but the moment in which his body is placed upon a stone in preparation for burial.
Nicodemus, who had previously come to Jesus by night, also came, bringing a mixture of myrrh and aloes, weighing about 100 pounds. So they took the body of Jesus and bound it in linen cloths with the spices, as is the burial custom of the Jews. John 19:39-40.
Nicodemus was a Pharisee, a doctor of the law, and a member of the Sanhedrin. Drawn by Jesus' words, he had recognized him as the long-awaited Messiah of Israel, defended him openly, and assisted after his death. The stone, whose edge juts out toward the viewer, is known as the Stone of Unction. A replica still exists in Jerusalem, though the original was lost during the Middle Ages. This stone is a key element in the painting, symbolically functioning as its fulcrum. It is not merely a stone, but evokes the biblical cornerstone.
The stone which the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Psalm 118, verse 22.
Thus Christ, humiliated, tortured, and killed, rejected by history, becomes the cornerstone of history itself. His body is shown in its full human vulnerability, in the stillness of death. It is a beautiful body, as befits the new Adam, God-made man, yet it is unmistakably dead, like the body of any mortal creature. It is the body he offered to humankind, so that, by partaking of it, they might become immortal after death. The image may appear to portray the failure of his mission, but in truth, it marks the beginning of a new human era. It seems to represent defeat, yet it is death that has been defeated. There is one detail that hints at the resurrection. If we observe his arm, we notice the veins still swollen, unlike in any lifeless corpse. It is as if his blood, the balm of salvation for all humanity, continues to flow. This detail is heightened by the gesture of his 3 fingers, gently touching the stone of unction, a reference to the 3 days before the resurrection and to the Trinity, of which he is the second person. His mouth is open, an allusion to the fact that he is the Logos, the Word made flesh.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. John 1:1-14.
John and Nicodemus, with great effort, place his body upon the stone, an altar-like simulacrum, because it is with great effort that humanity can begin to grasp the mystery of Christ, his incarnation, and the Eucharist, through which God made man renders man divine. John's hand brushes the wound in Christ's side, symbolizing the necessity for humankind to touch suffering born of love for God in order to attain salvation. At the lower edge of the painting, a mullein plant emerges from the dark background, a symbol of remedy and redemption from sin. To bear the weight of Christ's mystery and sorrow is possible only when one keeps firmly in mind its meaning, redemption, and the salvation it brings. Nicodemus, through his twisting posture, serves as the compositional pivot of the image, uniting the 3 dimensions involved in and evoked by the work, the temporal reality in which the viewer stood, namely, the chapel of Santa Maria in Vallicella. The pictorial space where the sacred event unfolds, and the spiritual realm. His gaze is caught in a moment of hesitation, as though for an instant he perceives the connection and interplay between the 3 dimensions in which he operates. As he lowers Christ's body, his gesture echoes across other spaces and future times, on altars throughout the world, where the mystery and efficacy of the Incarnation and Eucharist are eternally renewed. Caravaggio's reverence for Michelangelo is profound, so much so that he portrays Nicodemus with the features of the great master, Michelangelo Buonarroti. Tradition holds that Nicodemus was the first Christian sculptor, said to have carved the first crucifix in history in order to eternalize the moment of the sacrifice. Thus, Nicodemus becomes an icon of the artist who, through profound sensitivity, intuitively grasps the interplay between spirit and matter, between time and eternity, and immortalizes it through art.
The 3 women express through gesture and expression 3 aspects of sorrow. Sorrow that in that moment permeates the heart and the soul, the earth, and the heavens. This is reflected in the hand gestures and gazes. Mary Magdalene's downward and inward-looking expression, Mary's gaze toward her son as if to embrace him once more, and Mary of Clopas' upward plea to the eternal. They also symbolize 3 theological virtues. Mary represents faith in her son's words. Mary of Clopas, hope in God's help. And Magdalene, the charity she received from Christ and which still animates her in sorrow. These virtues are echoed in the three colors present in the garments: the green and red worn by John, and Christ's white shroud, symbols respectively of hope, charity, and faith. Mary, as Mater Dolorosa, once more embraces the immense divine mystery that has enveloped her since her immaculate conception. A celestial dimension symbolized by the blue mantle upon her head.
Caravaggio, who greatly admired Michelangelo, drew inspiration from certain aspects of his Pietà, reinterpreting the mother's embrace of the Son. The position of their arms is mirrored, yet here the Virgin is depicted as aged and worn, in contrast to Michelangelo's youthful and serene Mary. Caravaggio aims to emphasize the agony that grips the soul of the Mother of Christ, who, though she believes in his resurrection, is devastated by the suffering endured by his beloved body. Behind Mary of Clopas, the wife of Joseph's brother and mother of James, one of Jesus' cousins, partially concealed in the dark background, is a flourishing fig tree. This tree holds a dual significance. Due to the leaves with which Adam and Eve clothed themselves after sinning, it alludes to the tree of the knowledge of good and evil in Eden, and also to the sweetness of love in the Song of Songs.
The fig tree forms its early fruit. The blossoming vines spread their fragrance. Song of Songs 2:13.
This fig tree thus becomes a symbol of the defeat of original sin and heralds a new springtime of the Spirit, full of love's blessings. The light, symbol of the divine dimension, shines intensely upon Christ's body, laid on the stone, an altar symbol. Let us not forget that the painting was conceived to stand behind the altar of the Vittrice family chapel, where the elevation of the consecrated host by the priest echoed powerfully the image of Christ's body, laid on the stone of unction in the painting behind. It created a continuous reflection of the same concept across temporal, pictorial, and transcendent dimensions. The divine light that radiates from Christ's body, offered for the salvation of humanity, illuminates both the scene painted by Merisi and the soul of anyone who chooses to leave behind the darkness, testifying that the artist wanted it to be evident that even his works have been done in God.
The light has come into the world, but people loved darkness rather than light because their deeds were evil. For everyone who does evil hates the light and does not come into the light, lest their deeds be exposed. But whoever lives by the truth comes into the light, so that it may be clearly seen that their deeds have been done in God. John 3:19.